Sweetheart, how are you?
I'm good. You?
Doing good. What are we filming today?
We are on episode 15 of Grim Geography.
Okay. What are we discussing? Are we discussing a murder, a disappearance, a cold case? What are we?
A murder.
A murder. Is it solved?
Yes.
Okay. Was it solved by DNA?
No.
Alrighty. I like those. Where they actually had to do the work.
So we have Hans Schmidt.
Hans Schmidt. Is he American?
No.
Okay, but he committed the crimes in the U.S.
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna kill me.
Oh my God.
Okay, no.
Wait, hold on a second, people. On our other podcast that covers like the Pacific Northwest, especially Washington, that we just filmed, 1911.
We're going back to that.
Come on, people. 1911. Okay.
We're going back to 1911 again in this one.
Oh my God.
No, so there's a really, really kind of interesting piece of history tied to this case.
Okay. 1911.
I have reasons. These are the only.
You need to send her an email, tweet, something to tell her to get more current.
I have a lot of current. I only have two that far back.
Okay.
And this is the last one.
Thank God. But am I talking in the 80s and 90s, the 2000s, or are we back in the 50s or the 60s?
I have mostly the 90s and 2000s.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I have maybe one in the 70s that happened and then was solved in like the 2000s.
Okay, I can deal with that. So let's go back to 1911.
Yes. So the names are a lot of these names are German names. So I'm gonna apologize in advance for butchering. Yeah. I did research how to pronounce them, but that can only help so much.
Yes, and it's really hard. We try to be as accurate as possible, but when they're foreign names, and my name is Verity.
Variety.
Verdi. Verdi.
I get called
Verdi.
Okay, I get called Paige or Payson.
Yes. So my name is very hard.
You got Alita or Rita.
Okay. So when I was married to my ex-husband, my last name was Medigoli. Mehdiggholi. None of my daughter's teachers could pronounce that name. I finally say met a goalie. So you like met a goalie? Even though that's not quite how you pronounce it. But that is what I told 1911.
1911.
Okay.
Hans Schmidt.
Okay.
He was born on January 3rd, 1881.
Where?
He was born in the Bavarian town of Aschaffenburg to a Protestant father and a Catholic mother. He is German.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Back then, that wasn't good.
No.
Even now, it's not good. It's like being Catholic and marrying Jewish. I mean, religions, people freak out over religions.
Mm-hmm. So both sides of his family had a long history of mental health issues.
Okay.
From his early childhood, he was regularly beaten by his father and watched his father beat his mother.
Okay.
Even in childhood, Schmidt combined a fascination with blood to bisexual promiscuity.
Yes, sounds good.
He was deeply devoted to his mother's Catholic religion.
Okay.
And would attend services with her multiple times per day.
Per day or per week?
Per day.
Okay.
So according to his father, Hans once beheaded 2 of his parents' geese and kept the severed heads in his pocket.
At that point, I would say the kid needs help. But okay.
He also frequented the village slaughterhouse daily, despite being forbidden by his parents. He and several neighborhood boys would engage in sexual activity at the slaughterhouse while watching the death and dissection of farm animals.
With each other? Alrighty. Or the animals.
You said he was bisexual.
I guess. Well, I mean, it
It
was
could
it
be
with
either.
the animals or with each other?
I think it's with each other while watching them kill and butcher these animals.
Alrighty.
That's a whole other thing that
Yeah.
I'm not paid at all to try to figure out.
Wow.
Do you want
Wow. I mean, I don't mean to be condescending, but wow. At what point do you say, well, I guess it was back then. What point do you say my kid needs help? But if my husband was beating me and my kid who needs help back in the 1800s, I mean, you're not going to leave him. You're not going to divorce him.
Yeah.
It's in Germany. I don't know.
He attended a seminary in
Okay,
Mainz from
if not
1901 to
everybody knows
1904.
what seminary is, that is we're talking, he's
Catholic is on the road to become a priest.
Great, a priest.
From 1901 to 1904, but he struggled to follow the rules.
Yeah,
He was told repeatedly that if he did not change his behavior, he would be asked to leave. When it came time for his class to be ordained, Hans was told that he would not be ordained due to a quote-unquote unbalanced mind.
So at least they caught it before he was ordained.
Do you want to know something? Do you want to know the interesting piece of history to this before now or at the end?
Now.
So he ended up being executed in Sing Sing prison in New York. He is the first and only Roman Catholic priest to be executed in the United States.
So he became a priest.
We'll get to that.
Wow.
But yeah. So he ended up being executed in Sing Sing prison in 1916, and he is the first and only Roman Catholic priest we have ever executed in the United States.
Well, there's some that should be executed, but that's a whole other story.
Yep. So from there, Hans went to the University of Munich and studied philosophy for approximately 1 year. Some of the theology facility at the university were connected to the seminary at Freising, Germany, and he lived there for a while. This made him want to be a priest even more, so he decided to forge a doctorate of philosophy for himself while, quote-unquote, channeling the appropriate faculty. He had the official school seals created so the document looked legitimate. He took this document back to Bishop Kirstein at the seminary in Mainz in 1906 to show him he had done well for himself since leaving in 1904. He was able to convince the bishop to ordain him. Now, do you see how he became a priest?
Yeah.
He forged the documents.
Okay. Was this in our country?
No, this is still in Germany.
Germany. Okay.
So he was ordained on December 23rd, 1906. And in later conversation with Manhattan alienist, he recalled the bishop ordained me alone. I do not like to speak of it. The real ordination took place the night before. Saint Elizabeth, she ordained me herself. I was praying at my bedside when she appeared to me and said, I ordain you to the priesthood. There was light during her appearance. I told no one. I thought it best to keep it to myself. They would make fun of me. They always made fun of me for these things. They always expect others to do as they do. God speaks to different people in different ways.
So he had a dream that said Queen Elizabeth
Saint
the First.
Saint Elizabeth.
Saint Elizabeth. Okay.
Ordained him herself. Just remember, he has his family on both sides. His family had mental issues. Long history of them.
I'm ready.
His first position was an assistant priest at Darmstadt at the Church of St. Elizabeth, but he was transferred after only a few months. During parish assignments in the village of Bergel and Seelingstadt, I'm so sorry, Schmidt molested choir boys, had affairs with several women, and consorted with prostitutes. So
wait, he was a priest.
So while in Stellingstadt, he developed a severe case of rheumatism, which spread throughout his entire body, even affecting his heart. And he had to leave his assignment as a priest to return to the home of his parents for care. He remained in bed for 9 months. Upon his recovery, he was assigned to a church in Gonsenheim, where he was teaching Christian education to young girls.
No, 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 no.
He abruptly left and found himself arrested in 1908 in Munich for fraud. He was found insane in 1909 by German courts and was officially defrocked by the Catholic Church in response. His father suggested that he go to America, which Schmidt agreed with him. Guess what he decided to do?
He decided to become a priest again.
He forged paperwork to make it look as though he was still a priest in good standing and set sail in July of 1909. Apparently he was good at forgery.
Yeah.
So after arriving, he was first assigned to St. Mary's, a Roman Catholic church in Louisville, Kentucky. Which, I know that church. I've seen that church.
Yeah.
I've seen photos of that church. It's a pretty church. There, a rift with the senior pastor resulted in Schmidt's transfer to St. Francis's Church in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay. Trenton, New Jersey. We don't want to talk about Trenton, New Jersey.
Schmidt couldn't get along with the bishop or the other priests there either, and another transfer took him to St. Boniface's Church in New York City in December of 1910. We're going to go back to his fraud arrest and discuss that.
Okay.
So Schmidt left his assignment in Gonsenheim abruptly in October 1908 without permission and without notification. He was later arrested in Munich under the alias of Rudolf Baum for attempted fraud of college students. He later explained that he
Absconded?
Absconded, thank you. Because his cousin Adolf Miller had shown up to Gonsenheim and was blackmailing him for an inheritance after the death of their uncle, Leo Miller.
Okay.
He believed himself to be telepathic and planned to use thought transference to put his knowledge into the minds of students while they took certification exams. He also planned to forge their diplomas while, quote-unquote, channeling the appropriate faculty. He believed that these would not be forgeries if he was at one with the souls of the faculty at the time that he signed their names. He sent letters to over 200 students to advertise the service using the name Dr. Xantos. He was arrested before any students fell for the scheme, and it was then documented that he had forged his own doctorate of philosophy in 1906.
So that's when they found out that he really had...
No. So essentially his belief was that it's not illegal and it's not a forgery because he is channeling
the advisor, the teacher,
the priest.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So psychiatrists examined Schmidt in jail and came to the conclusion that he was insane and therefore not criminally responsible for his crimes.
Okay.
The German courts found that he was not a danger to society and therefore did not sentence him to an asylum. However, when they released him to his father's custody, they told his father that he should commit him to an asylum.
Okay.
His father instead checked him into a vacation spa at Jordan Bad, where Schmidt stayed for only a few weeks.
He put him at a spa? Oh, wow.
And then
if I commit a crime, will you send me to a spa instead of jail?
No chance in hell.
I am desperate. I want to go to a spa.
That shit's expensive.
I know, but I want to go to a spa.
So, like I said,
instead of an asylum, a crazy farm.
Like I said, the Catholic officials in Germany decided to defrock him.
Okay.
So, we're back to New York.
Okay.
So, in New York City, Schmidt met 17-year-old Anna Moeller, a housekeeper at the rectory of St. Boniface Church, who had immigrated from the Austro-Hungarian Empire on December 1st, 1910. Huh. Anna had begun working there just 3 days before Schmidt arrived. Schmidt had collapsed in a hallway when he first saw her, and she helped him get him to his bed.
17 years old.
17-year-old.
Okay.
Mind you, 1910.
Okay.
He told her he loved her, and within 3 days, their relationship had become sexual. Schmidt was 29. So, beginning in December 1912, Schmidt was also having a secret homosexual relationship with a New York dentist named Ernest Muret, with whom he operated a counterfeiting ring. Schmidt later claimed to have enjoyed the relationship with him more than that of Anna.
Okay.
So, despite his subsequent transfer to St. Joseph's Church in Harlem, Schmidt and Anna continued a secret sexual relationship. It was later revealed that they were, quote unquote, married in a secret ceremony, which Schmidt performed himself.
Okay.
Schmidt and Anna had paid the fee for a marriage license in the spring of 1913, but did not have a legal ceremony. However, Schmidt wrote their names on a marriage certificate and told Anna that he was about to leave the priesthood for her. While celebrating Mass at St. Joseph's Church in the spring of 1913, Schmidt received what he claimed was a command from God.
A vision.
Yeah, command from God to sacrifice Anna.
What?
He claimed he heard the voice of God above the chalice say to him, "Anna shall be a sacrifice of love and atonement." The command was repeated so insistently that Schmidt told Anna, who called him crazy. Soon after, she informed him that she was pregnant. So on the night of September...
So you're pregnant with the priest's child.
Yeah. And he's being told to sacrifice her.
And you're 17 years old. And you, quote, had a secret marriage, but it wasn't really good. I mean, it wasn't legal. At what point do you run?
She's an immigrant.
Well, so's he.
Yeah, but he probably could take care of her versus her...
Yeah, versus her parents or something.
On the night of September 2nd, 1913, Schmidt went to the apartment they had rented while posing as a married couple. He slashed her throat while she slept, drank her blood, raped her as she bled to death, dismembered her body, and then threw the pieces from a ferry into the Hudson River.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about that.
Schmidt then returned to St. Joseph's Church, offered Mass, and administered Holy Communion as though nothing had happened.
Bitches be crazy.
So only three pieces of her body have ever been located. Her upper torso, her lower torso, and her right thigh. The pieces of her torso contain all her internal organs aside from her pancreas. Her uterus did not contain a fetus, and coroners testified that she had had a natural birth within 3 days of her murder.
So she had a baby within 3 days of her murder? So where's the baby? We don't know.
Nope. So there was no sign that any surgical tools had been used to indicate any sort of labor or abortion. The size of her uterus suggested she was 6 to 7 months pregnant at the time that she gave birth. Among Anna's belongings were baby clothes that she had been making by hand. So after pieces of her torso washed ashore at Cliffside Park and Weehawken, New Jersey, Hudson County police detectives found a price tag still attached to the pillowcase used to wrap part of the body. Okay. So using that tag, the pillowcase was traced to a factory in Newark, New Jersey, which sold exclusively to Manhattan furniture dealer George Satch.
Okay.
The investigation was then taken over by the New York City Police Department and assigned to Manhattan Chief Detective Joseph Barrett.
Okay.
So after arriving at George Satch's furniture store at 2782 8th Avenue, Inspector Farr found the dealer had purchased 12 of these pillowcases and had only sold 2 of them. A check through his receipts revealed that a bed spring, a mattress, pillows, and pillowcases had been sold on August 26, 1913. The buyer had given his name as H. Schmidt and had arranged for his purchases to be delivered to a third-story apartment at 68 Bradhurst Avenue. So questions to the
idiot.
Right? Questions to the building superintendent revealed that the apartment was occupied by a married couple. The husband was described as a man with a heavy German accent who had given his name as H. Schmidt. When a 3-day stakeout revealed no one arriving, the inspector ordered Detective Frank Casassa to break into the apartment. A cursory search found that the floor had been recently scrubbed, but large amounts of dried blood were found on the walls. A large knife and saw were found inside of a trunk in the apartment. Men's clothing with the name A. Van Dyke sewn into the lining was found, as were letters in both German and English addressed to Anna at the St. Boniface's church address. So the inspectors and detectives Casassa and O'Connell visited the address and were told by the senior pastor, Father John Braun, that Anna had moved out on August 30th. Father Braun told the detectives that she had a cousin, Joseph Eigler, who lived not far away and may be able to give more insight into who she may be associated with. He told detectives that Anna had been spending most of her free time with Father Schmidt, who had since been assigned to St. Joseph Church. So the inspectors and detectives went to St. Joseph's at 11:30 p.m. on the night of September 13th, 1913. So after the inspector rang the bell, the senior pastor, Father Daniel Quinn, opened the door, led them into the parlor, and woke Schmidt. Upon being confronted by the inspector and the detectives, Schmidt admitted, I killed her because I loved her. Schmidt then described the murder and dismemberment in detail. As his fellow priests watched in horror, Schmidt was taken into police custody. So a media spectacle ensued as the New York papers competed against each other with an ever greater degree of sensitization regarding the case. So following his arrest, the Archdiocese of New York announced that Schmidt's priestly faculties had been indefinitely suspended.
Yeah, think.
So during Schmidt's first trial, he pled not guilty by reason of insanity. His defense team accordingly used Schmidt's bisexuality and claims of hearing voices as proof of their client's psychosis. The defense also demonstrated that mental illness ran in his family. They called for psychologist Smith L. Jelliffe, who testified that Schmidt's family tree showed up to 16 near or distant relatives who displayed signs of mental instability, and therefore he should be spared the death penalty because he was too insane. So in rebuttal, the prosecution called in other witnesses, including multiple alienists who had questioned Schmidt before the trial. The testimony concluded that Schmidt was sane in spite of his claims of hearing voices telling him to sacrifice Anna. However, the prosecution's efforts were in vain. At the conclusion of the trial in December 1913, a hung jury was declared.
He murdered her. He cut her into pieces. But it was a hung jury because they claimed insanity.
Mm-hmm. So they did take him again to a second trial.
Okay.
That began approximately 2 weeks after the conclusion of the first one.
Okay.
This time, the prosecution introduced new testimony. In April 1913, well before the defendant received his alleged command from God to sacrifice Anna, Schmidt had convinced a fellow German immigrant, a woman named Bertha Zeck, to pose as Anna and to purchase a $5,000 life insurance policy in her name. The policy listed Schmidt as the sole beneficiary. Her Anna's close friend and co-worker Anna Hurt then took the stand and testified that Anna had told her Schmidt was going to get her a life insurance policy for her birthday. After her birthday passed and he did not give it to her, she said she hoped he would give it to her as a wedding gift. So on February 5th, 1914, after only 3 hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. After being sentenced to the death penalty, he said, "I'm satisfied with the verdict. I would rather die today than tomorrow." He was sent to Sing Sing prison. So, his defense...
Okay. So, he was finally convicted of first-degree murder, not because he was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was going to get a life insurance policy. I still want to know what happened to the baby.
His defense team filed an appeal shortly after his sentence, which postponed his execution for at least a year while it worked its way through the courts. In December 1914, Schmidt admitted that he feigned insanity during his trials. In admitting so, however, he accused Ernest Morit, the dentist with whom he had a homosexual affair, of having accidentally killed Anna during a botched abortion. Schmidt further claimed that he allowed authorities to pursue him and not the doctor for the murder because he wanted to cover for his male lover. The doctor did admittedly adamantly denied anything to do with Anna's death, and police never found any evidence to the contrary.
Okay. That's what you need to do. You need to kill your, quote, wife and then blame it on your male lover. Okay, and this is only 19 what?
1914.
1914. Wow. They were having a field day with this. They still have a field day with this.
So, due in large part to both his and Bertha Zeck's insistence to the contrary, Schmidt's new allegations were unsuccessful in gaining him a new trial.
Okay.
So, on February 18th, 1916, Schmidt entered the Sing Sing death chamber at 5:50 a.m. Moments before being seated in the electric chair, Schmidt said, "Pardon me, I beg the forgiveness of all whom I have offended and of all whom I have scandalized. I forgive all who have offended against me."
Okay. Who's offended against him? I guess his dad, because his dad beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And we still don't know what was going on at that slaughterhouse.
No. So moments before the switch was thrown, Schmidt said in a muffled voice, "My last thought is for my mother. Please give my mother my last goodbye." So the first jolt of electricity was initiated at 5:51 a.m. After 2 additional jolts were administered, the prison physician pronounced Hans Schmidt dead at 5:59 p.m.
Wow, the first Roman Catholic priest.
And the only one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's all I got to say is wow.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what happened to that baby. I want to know, wow. What do you say to that?
No, it's a good question. So, though the Schmidt
and
family...
how did he get away with this for so long?
That's the question of the hour. I do have more.
Okay.
So, though the Schmidt family originally intended to ship his body home to Germany, so this is during World War I.
Yes.
The ongoing war made these plans impossible.
Okay.
So, as a result, Father William Cashin, the Sing Sing's Roman Catholic prison chaplain, arranged for burial in New York. So, he is buried in the Sing Sing prison cemetery.
Well, yeah.
So, they have suspected him of several other crimes.
I would think so. So you're telling me that he did all this stuff all along. He murdered his, quote, wife, hung it on his male lover, and he hasn't done anything else?
Right. So, apart from killing his young, pregnant wife, further investigation revealed that he had a second apartment where he had set up a counterfeiting workshop. Authorities suspected Schmidt of as many as 4 other murders. He had been seen with a woman named Helen Green. Green left for Chicago the month before Anna's murder, but had then disappeared.
Yeah.
Does that
surprise you?
No. Police couldn't find any traces of Green. When he moved to America, Schmidt was seen with another woman who he claimed was his wife. She also had disappeared. So he was suspecting the deaths of 2 children. The owner of the apartment complex where Schmidt was living said she sometimes saw him bringing a 5-year-old boy to his living room. Schmidt claimed that the boy was his son. That boy has since disappeared. When the woman asked the boy for his name, he said it was August Van Dyke. Remember that piece of clothing that A. Van Dyke sewn into it? That was found in the apartment? Yeah. So Schmidt became an alternate suspect in the murder of Alma Kellner, who was age 9, whose body was found buried in the basement of St. John's Church in Louisville, Kentucky, where he had once visited another priest. When the body had been burned, but authorities suspected the killer had tried to dismember her. The janitor, Joseph Wendling, was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the murder based on the circumstantial evidence. And
so somebody else may have
and the bloody clothing found at his home.
Okay, so technically the guy could have done it but now they're thinking that it was the other guy and he could have set him up.
Hmm. Well, so upon the request of Alma's uncle, Wendling was pardoned and deported to his home country of France in 1935.
Okay.
So no evidence has been found linking Schmidt to the area around the time that Alma Kellner went missing, and any reports that Schmidt was assigned to the St. John's Church are false. But that is Hans Schmidt.
Wow.
The first and only Roman Catholic priest to ever be executed in
Oh,
United
I
States
definitely
history.
want to hear what you have to say about this. I mean,
Okay, this is why I wanted to do this case so bad. Like, I know it's so far back, but like to me, that's like such an interesting piece of history.
it is an interesting piece of history.
And it was also just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because there's so many things, quote, about the Catholic priest and molestation.
Molestation.
There's so many things that blah 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 blah, and I don't think all priests are like that. And I would be wrong to say something like that. But they've had so many problems over the years, the Catholic Church. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited about the new Pope. Because he's going to take them into the new. He's doing amazing things already, and he's the first American to be the first Roman Catholic Church Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's all I get to say. He'd be crazy.
Hans Schmidt.
Yes.
But this is why I wanted to do this case.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if I do a case this far back for Grimm, I had to do one for.
Yes.
I wanted to even it out and do one for Rainy City.
Yeah.
And that's why I found the Starvation Doctor.
Yes. Okay. If anybody has anything to say, if we've gotten anything wrong, or you just have your opinion, let us know.
I'm always curious.
Yeah,
I'm always
we're
up for
always
discussion.
curious. We want to make sure that we get everything right, that we don't. Well, I guess we're going to offend people about this one, anyways. So,
I have my beliefs.
Yes, we both have our beliefs. We try not to, if you don't like it, just skip this one. So, okay. Bye, babe.
Goodbye. See you guys next week.